What's been up, man?
Not a whole lot. Fucking 2 barbecues in one weekend.
I had a good one in a little bit. I also have to work still.
Kyle, who we did our first episode with, the Rocky Mountain tour guide guy,
Yeah.
he invited us over for steak tacos the other night.
Ooh.
And then we had chicken tacos at H&K's house yesterday.
Ooh.
And they all came over too.
Nice.
So, I've been a taco eating motherfucker this weekend.
Yeah, you are. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear.
The Living Dead's up in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
And tomorrow is Scold in Denver.
Is that tomorrow? Is it already your birthday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tomorrow's my birthday.
Holy shit. Well, I'm not making it. I thought your birthday was in September.
No, August. K's is in September.
Oh. All right, well, here we are. So you're going to Scold. You're going to go.
Up to?
Fucking work, man. So, man, this might be its own episode or announcement, but I've been having some issues with this corporation that might make an interesting story. I'll tell you about that offline, but yeah. Corruption and hate and greed and lust. This story's got it all, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet.
You got a full-blown soap opera going on at work?
Yeah, it's fucking stupid here. Like, I have not had a good time since this place, man. Since I've come here. I mean, I had a great time in New York.
Kansas is better than Jersey.
Kansas is the second best place that I've lived, followed by Colorado. Really? Yep, Kansas. I actually liked Kansas. Kansas was great.
Really? There's just a whole lot of nothing in Kansas.
I mean,
I don't know what the fuck people do there.
It's a lot of small, towns scattered very far apart. But I mean, it was still a cool. I mean, I had a good experience. It's about the people, It's not really about what's to do there.
I've never really spent much time there, but I've driven across it several times, and it's just flat nothingness.
Yeah, I mean, if that's all you're gonna do, then that's what I thought before I moved there. But you start mixing in with the people, and then you really get a sense of the area, and I liked it. Yeah, so. And another thing about this fucking place is you can't fucking smoke weed. Oh, this place.
Yeah, I don't have that trouble.
So apparently,
we were yesterday at H&K's. They wanted to do the wine and painting thing. Well, that turned into the girls drinking wine and the rest of us just passing a joint around.
Fuck yeah. It's nothing like it is here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good time. Just sitting on the back deck, smoking it up and painting a picture.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't know, man. What do you want to talk about today?
What is the topic? Topic of the day is D.A.R.E.
D.A.R.E? Like, I dare you to smack your mama?
Not quite. It's a anti-drug thing.
That's fucking stupid.
It's supposed to be, at least. It has failed miserably, but that was the idea of it.
Well, and you know what? When I did my research for it, it does seem like it was purposefully designed to increase drug usage rather than decrease.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it was intended to do, but that's pretty much what it has done.
Well, I mean, so the thing is it's benefited all sorts of different people financially, like the industrial prison complex, and a lot of and governments, and I mean, it's bolstered people's campaign donations and shit like that when people thought it was effective. So I think it was on purpose. That's what I think. And I mean, it's not like the government hasn't done fucked up shit like that before. which I think you
No,
researched.
I mean the government is run by known liars, so
Known. We know about them. Oh, we might hear some rumblings because I'm in a hotel and they're doing renovations upstairs.
mm,
So,
yeah. My roommate is homesick, so you might hear him coughing in the background. But
okay. Well, that's all right. We'll deal with that. We'll either edit it out or it'll be kind of funny. Like, I don't. Did you?
or you just get to hear construction and coughing.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping I don't get this shit. He's hanging out in his room. He's quarantined himself, so.
Well, good luck. Don't share a joint with him. I don't think he smokes anyway.
So, I don't think we ever introduced ourselves.
Oh,
This is the
fuck.
Higher Minds podcast.
This is the Higher Minds podcast. I'm Papa Darby.
Yeah, and I'm Scott.
How are you guys?
Papa Darby might not be Papa Darby for very much longer.
If this doesn't sound
He
perfectly,
has gone on record that this episode will sound absolutely perfect.
perfect.
Or his name isn't Papa Darby.
And what was it? What am I renaming myself?
The first name I came up with was the podcaster formerly known as Darby.
No. I don't like that one. I don't like that one. I mean, go Prince.
The other one was Ball Sweat McDickface.
I like that one. I think I just would. I think I'm going to change my name to that anyway.
You're gonna purposely fuck up this recording just so you can start going by Ball Sweat McDickface.
I mean, do I have to fuck this up? I want a good recording, and I want people to call me Ball Sweat McDickface.
I mean, if the name fits.
I mean, right? You know what? That reminds me, and about this place. This kind of goes to what I was talking about before, and this has just been on my mind today. The difference between assholes and shitty people is assholes can be assholes, shitty people can be assholes, but shitty people don't know or will not recognize or admit when they're wrong, and they will not recognize what they don't actually know. So, fuck those people. My life lesson for today.
As the last episode of Papa Darby and Scott, you want to go ahead and kick this off?
Sure. So, what I did was in my research is I did research D.A.R.E and its effects. I got about a page and a half worth, but I also focused a little bit on Nancy Reagan because, well, fuck the Reagans. They hurt the population as most politicians and presidents do, but in such a fundamental way that I want to rail against her. I know she's dead. I know Reagan's dead, and I know Republicans will fucking be pissed when they hear all this shit, but fuck them, fuck you, fuck everybody. Not really. I love everybody, but fuck them. Anyway, Nancy Davis Reagan, whose real name was Anne Frances Robbins. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like she changed her name entirely.
Anything about Nancy Reagan, actually.
Ah, well, you're about to learn a little bit.
Most first ladies, for that matter.
You know Lady Bird, don't you?
I know the name.
Oh, well, okay.
That was.
I don't really know much about her either.
Was that LBJ?
No, that was Roosevelt, the Rough Rider.
Roosevelt. Oh, Teddy, not Franklin.
Right. I think I might be wrong about that actually, but I know it was Roosevelt.
Now that I say that out loud, I think you are wrong about that. I think that was
yeah.
FDR.
I kind of think
Lady
so.
Bird.
I know that Hank Hill's dog was Lady Bird, and he was more of a Teddy fan than an LBJ fan, for most definitely. In fact, maybe that was just a weird little thing in the show. Interesting.
It looks like there's a TV show or a movie named Lady Bird. So when you just type in Lady Bird, it doesn't come up with who the fuck you're talking about. Lady Bird Johnson. There it is.
Johnson? So it's LBJ.
Was I right? Yeah, LBJ. Yeah, I was right.
So
score one for me.
Wait, he was the he brought the New Deal and all that shit. Like he was like socialist Democrat. He was like Bernie Sanders back then.
LBJ?
Yeah.
LBJ was a racist piece of shit. LBJ is also the reason that we have the whole war on drugs thing too.
Wait, was it who did the New Deal? That was LBJ, right? Okay. Well, I mean, that was a major social programs and racist. I think
Yeah,
the
in
reports are that.
1968, LBJ created the Reorganization Plan of 1968, where he merged the Bureau of Narcotics and the Bureau of Drug Abuse to form the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs within the Department of Justice. That is the starting point for the entire war on drugs.
Oh, well, I do. So okay, I'm thinking now. I'm trying to remember, or I'm remembering my personal knowledge of LBJ. I think his history says that he was very anti-racist, that he fought racism. I fucking what's his name?
LBJ, let me find the quote here. I don't want to misquote him.
We Brian
But LBJ,
Brian Cranston played him in a movie, and like that was one of the things about LBJ. There's Nixon. Are you thinking about Nixon?
nope, I'm for sure thinking about LBJ.
68. Did he precede Nixon?
Uh, yeah, he was right before Nixon.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Nixon built off of what LBJ had set up.
Okay. Well, what did he say? What was that quote? Did you find it?
Here it is. LBJ is quoted as once saying, quote, I will have those niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years. End
Well,
quote.
he wasn't wrong, except for the use of the word.
That's why I wanted to quote that. I didn't want to just go out there throwing that around. I wanted the exact quote of what he said.
Right. Well, in as you know, you're as a black guy, that's fine. You can quote other racists and say nigger if that's what they said. Just so you know. Man, this
Well,
is
yeah. If it's a quote, yeah.
man, this is gonna be an episode, huh?
On this
Anyway.
episode, why Scott doesn't give a fuck about PC culture.
um well, you know what? Since you started with LBJ and that's chronologically in order, why don't you start? We'll get to Nancy when we get to her.
Okay. So we'll just go ahead and jump in with the war on drugs because that's what led up to the whole D.A.R.E. thing then.
The war on
As
drugs.
previously stated, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, in 1968 created the Reorganization Plan of 1968, which merged the Bureau of Narcotics with the Bureau of Drug Abuse to form the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs. That's within the Department of Justice.
Interesting. And I assume that evolved
Uh,
into what we know as the DEA now, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the jumping off point for this whole thing.
Okay.
As you said, Nixon took over shortly after LBJ implemented that new department. Former Nixon domestic policy. Let me try that again. Former Nixon domestic policy chief, John Ehrlichman, maybe Ehrlichman.
Yeah.
John Ehrlichman has been quoted in the Harper's Magazine. He interviewed with them, saying, "quote The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies: the anti-war left and black people."
Yep.
He went on to say, "You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against war or black, but by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities."
Fucking
He went
asshole.
on to say, "quote We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did." End quote.
Damn it. Like, what a piece of shit that guy was. And he was a traitor to
Yeah,
democracy.
that's government for you.
I don't know. There's echoes of the past in that now, so I don't know. It's sad. There's no marijuana is wonderful. Marijuana is great. Everybody should smoke marijuana who's over 21.
Marijuana itself is actually a bit of a propagandized word. They started calling it marijuana to make it seem more Mexican, like to bring up that end of
Oh
the
wow.
racism thing too.
Really?
Right.
Well, what was it called before?
Yeah. Prior to that, it was commonly referred to as either hemp or cannabis. There are
Oh,
street slang terms and everything too, but like officially, it was usually either hemp or cannabis. They
interesting.
switched it to marijuana being the popularized term to make it seem like it was a Mexican problem.
And now we've taken the term back, and we love marijuana. Yay, marijuana. And Mexicans. Yay, Mexicans.
The Drug Policy Alliance, which advocates for an end to the war on drugs, estimates that the United States spends $51 billion annually on the war on drugs.
Wow.
$51 billion a year
Wow.
to tell adults that they can't put certain chemicals in their body.
That's fucked up. That doesn't hurt anybody else but the person who's deciding to do it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even hurt the person that is deciding to do it. It's fucking weed.
Well, not just weed, but like heroin or whatever
Well,
too. Like,
anything. I'm like,
but even then, like nobody forced you to stick that needle in your arm. Nobody forced you to fucking put the crack pipe to your mouth. Nobody forced you to light the joint. Like,
I mean, well, as far as like crack and heroin, nobody forces you the first time. Afterwards, that's debatable as far as its power over a person. But you're right. I mean, you can choose to not, and you can choose to that first time.
I've never seen anybody on heroin and thought to myself, "Damn, that looks like a good time."
No,
Like,
I've never tried heroin. Actually, I have tried heavy drugs, almost all of them, but like heroin, needles, that's where I always stopped.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I just look at that and I've seen people on it, and I'm like, that doesn't look like fucking fun to me.
No, that and bath salts. Never tried bath salts. Fuck that shit. So does that bring us to Nancy? You got chronologically?
Yeah, that's the start of the war on drugs.
All
At
right.
least.
So
Um,
now Mrs. Reagan carried it on. Let me tell you a little bit about her. So she was born Anne Frances Robbins. She was an actress in the 40s and 50s and married Ronald Reagan in 1952. She launched.
I didn't know she was an actress too. Actually,
Yeah, I
I
didn't
knew
really know that.
Reagan was an actor. I didn't realize she was an actress.
Yeah, yeah, no, I assume they met in Hollywood, on set
Hmm.
somewhere, but I don't really know. Anyway, so yeah, she married him in 52, and in 82, I guess 30 years later, she launched the Just Say No campaign. It started in
I remember that.
yeah, right, Daytop Village in New York. Um, the way it started was she was asked by a schoolgirl in 1982 about what to do when offered drugs. Her response was, just say no, and it stuck. Through all of that stupid bullshit, she appeared on Dynasty, Different Strokes. Now, I want to stop at Different Strokes because we know what Different Strokes, that saying, right? Different Strokes for different folks. But she was on that show.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the TV show Different Strokes.
Yeah, yeah, so I am talking about. She appeared on that show.
Oh, okay.
The,
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
the title is about, it refers to a white guy taking care of this black kid and, saying different things work for different people, except for when the Republicans decide that you should live exactly like they think you should live. I'm not just singling out Republicans for, Scott's benefit, but it's mostly them. Anyway, and she was in a music video called Stop the Madness
It
in
is
85.
mostly a conservative thing, but LBJ was a Democrat. He's the one that started this. Just throwing that out there.
Right. No, no, I do know that. Yeah, that should
Yeah.
probably be definitely pointed out. LBJ was a Democrat.
And it's not like Clinton or Obama did anything about it while they were in office either. So.
No, Obama did. Obama,
To an extent, he lowered the mandatory minimum sentencing or some shit like that.
didn't he eliminate it? Didn't his t- uh, his legal guy, fucking what's his name? Anyway, didn't he like decriminalize it and like get rid of the minimum mandatory?
No, I have that in my notes here somewhere. Let me find that. It's kind of fucked up how they had it set up before.
Oh. Well,
Uh,
on
here it is.
go ahead. Yeah.
Crack cocaine. In 1986, the U.S. Congress passed laws that created a 100 to 1 sentencing disparity for trafficking or possession of crack when compared to the same penalties for regular powdered cocaine. So somebody arrested with 5 grams of crack on them would have a mandatory minimum sentence of at least 5 years in federal prison. Alternatively, you could have up to 500 grams of powdered cocaine on you and receive the same sentence.
No, I need.
In 2010, the Fair Sentencing Act cut the sentencing disparity to 18 to 1. So now you'll do 18 times what the normal sentence would be for regular powdered cocaine, for crack cocaine. So it's gone from 100 to 1 to 18 to 1
This top
via the Obama administration.
this topic in particular just makes
so it's
me
a step
angry.
in the right direction, but it's still fucking disproportionate.
Yeah, and it's disproportionate along racial lines. I mean, if we don't have to, if we have to spell it
black
out.
people are more likely to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Blacks and minorities are more likely to be crack users than white people would be.
And that's a cost thing, which is another racial disparity. You know, money.
Right.
That's a different thing though. But as far as the minimum mandatory, on October 27th in '86, President Reagan signed into law a bill which granted $1.7 billion to ensure the minimum mandatory for drug offenses. This was partially due to Nancy Reagan's consultation with her private astrologer, Joan Quigley, who advised her on many of her decisions and ultimately the president's decisions whilst they were running the White House. So,
if you get your motivation or whatever from an astrologer, you have no fucking standing. Like, if you're going to some whack job who's telling you that the stars say this, you should do that, you're out of your fucking mind and shouldn't be making decisions for anybody.
Yeah. No, that's fucking ridiculous, especially for, you know, at the time, the most powerful nation in the world. Perhaps it is today, but I don't know. But she did rub heads. She might have rubbed heads too, but she did butt heads with a man named Donald Regan, who worked for the administration. In his 1988 memoir, For the Record, From Wall Street to the White House, he says, virtually every major move and decision the Reagans made during my time as White House Chief of Staff was cleared in advance with a woman in San Francisco, Quigley, who drew up horoscopes to make certain that the planets were in a favorable alignment for the enterprise. So that's where this war on drugs, not only is it financially lucrative for like individual politicians, certain corporations, but it was dreamt up by a fucking astrology.
The federal government as a whole. I mean,
yeah.
The CIA brings a ton of drugs in.
Oh, did you look that up?
While it's illegal for us, they're still making fucking money off of it.
Did you ever look that up with the Bush? Are you going to get into that?
No, but I've read articles in the past where I think it was the Navy stopped a drug running ship that was run by the CIA. Like,
right.
The government just catching the government.
Yeah. And I think I've mentioned this before, but there's a movie called Shoot the Messenger. It stars Hawkeye from Marvel. I forget that dude's name. And I'm looking it up, and I started typing Hawkeye.
Marvel Hawkeye or MASH Hawkeye?
Marvel Hawkeye. Stars that guy.
Okay, because you got a boner for MASH Hawkeye too, don't you?
What's that?
I said you got a little bit of a boner for the MASH Hawkeye too, don't you?
Oh yeah, Alan Alda. Yeah, I do. I would.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his real name.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Anyway, so in the movie, it's about how this journalist caught the government in this. They were pumping drugs into the West Coast. Killed the messenger is what it's called. Sorry. Pumping drugs into the West Coast in order to fund military programs. I think specifically what it was they were buying drugs from the FARC in order to supply them with weapons so that they can fight communists overseas. And
when did this take place?
So in the 80s is when this guy started publishing articles about it. And turns out the actual person, it's based on the true story, and the actual journalist who found this out was found to have committed suicide by 2 gunshots to the head.
So he's very efficient.
Right. I mean, he's a maybe he should have taken gun lessons before he shot himself. Because I mean, that first one had to have hurt.
He wanted to be for sure 100% dead. Like,
Yeah. Anyway, he got Clintoned.
I'm gonna guess that he reached around and shot himself in the back of the head. Am I right?
You know what? I don't think those. Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, maybe. I mean, he might have shot himself in the back too, and hung himself afterwards.
And the Clintons had nothing to do with this. Right?
Well, honestly, this was during the Bush years, the Bush 1 years.
HW or W?
HW.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So legitimately, the Clintons might not have killed this one.
Right. I mean, he was governor of Arkansas at that time, and she was some lawyer, but yeah, probably had nothing to do with it.
They have a history of people mysteriously dying around them.
Is there a president that doesn't, though?
That's an idea for an episode there, too.
Ooh.
The whole Clinton body count thing. I've seen different YouTube
Yeah.
doing it.
Well, maybe, I wouldn't just limit it to the Clintons, though. That's a juicy subject.
Just government in general.
I would say presidents in general. I mean, the government is meant to kill people.
Oh, okay.
I mean, shit, Eric Garner,
And government's the #1 killer in history.
Yep, they're very good at it. Anyway, so what else you got?
Since we're into the 80s now, let's go ahead and jump into D.A.R.E. itself.
All right, I got some of that.
Do you know what D.A.R.E. stands for?
Dick and rear end.
No, drugs are really excellent. No, it's drug abuse resistance education.
Which
it was founded in Los Angeles in 1983 as a joint initiative between the LAPD chief Daryl Gates and the Los Angeles Unified School District.
Was there any higher political authority at the beginning of it?
At the beginning of it, it started out just as a Los Angeles thing. And then they kind of promoted themselves to become a national.
Coincidentally, that's where Bush was pumping drugs in.
Oh, okay. In 83, Reagan would have been president in 83.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
So, D.A.R.E.
is federally funded, but there's good news. Their funding has been decreasing over the last.
As far as I
years.
saw, it would lost all federal funding in '98. That's what I got.
I have that their operating revenue has declined from $10 million in 2002 to only $3.7 million.
Jesus fuck! Really? We're still spending money on this shit? God damn.
Mm-hmm. The funding has decreased because of many reports saying that it doesn't fucking work.
Like all of the reports say it. All of them.
Anything that isn't by D.A.R.E. themselves, pretty much. D.A.R.E. or police or anti-drug organizations. Any non-biased thing is going to say that it doesn't work.
And in
one of the first one of these was in 1992.
Yep.
So 9 years after it initially started, they already knew that it didn't fucking work.
And we still know that. But that study was conducted at Indiana University, and it showed that graduates of the D.A.R.E. program had subsequently had significantly higher rates of hallucinogenic drug use than those not exposed to the program. Why hallucinogens?
Yep, exactly.
Why not weed? Why not coke?
I think most people just assume that naturally growing things, such as some people say that cannabis is a very mild hallucinogen.
Yeah, that's also
shrooms are there too. Salvia, like there are multiple naturally growing hallucinogens.
Marijuana's not a hallucinogen. I've been really fucking stoned. Like, really fucking stoned, and I've never hallucinated off of weed. That's fucked up.
No, I've never smoked that much, but I've heard, I'm going to space on his name. He's a mushroom expert, I think. I can't remember what the hell his name is now. Anyways, I had seen something with him where he had said that cannabis could be considered a very mild hallucinogen. It does affect your your view and interaction with the world around you, I guess, is how he described a hallucinogen.
I fully disagree. I don't know. I think it could be considered that for the same reason that considered a Scheduled One drug. It's just not.
No, it's definitely not a Schedule One drug. It
Right.
is, but it
Right.
shouldn't be. But no, it does distort your perception of time and shit. So, like, I can see where they're coming. I don't necessarily agree that it's a hallucinogen, but I can see why some might say it
I
is.
guess, but I don't know. I've never been that stoned. I have tripped, and hallucinated a bunch. Those are
Mm-hmm.
hallucinations.
Actually, a year ago
Oh, that is so
tomorrow.
sad. I mean, that's happy
Yeah,
times.
yeah. We did shrooms on my
That was the
birthday
first time you did
last year.
shrooms, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first
You
time
do
I
them
ever
again?
done them. No, but now that they're decriminalized in Denver, I need to make a trip.
Yeah, I'm curious about where you can get it now.
Yeah, I don't like. It's not legal, so you can't just go out and buy it. But like, if you know a guy, you can legally have it now. Like, or not legally have it, but you won't get in
Right.
fucking trouble for having it.
You mentioned in the last episode that New York decriminalized weed, and so I tried to get some from New York, but the guy only delivers to Hell's Kitchen, and I didn't go there.
Mm. Yeah, they had decriminalized it. It's not legal there yet, so you still got to go through back alley dealers or whatever. Know a guy that knows a guy kind of situation, but you're not gonna get busted
Yeah, I
if you
mean
have it on you
the
anymore.
people that are dealers that are getting money from the government need to liquidate their stores first before it becomes actually legal. That's my opinion. That's nothing I read anywhere. That's just makes sense. So yeah,
So 1994, there was another one. RTI International, a nonprofit organization that provides research and technical services, evaluated 8 previous analyses. So they looked at data collected from 8 previous surveys or whatever. The study concluded that short-term, quote, D.A.R.E imparts a large amount of information, but has little to no impact on students' drug use, end quote. And that many smaller interactive programs were more effective than what D.A.R.E is.
um,
So while D.A.R.E gives you a bunch of fucking information, it has no deterrent to
no,
actually doing it.
in fact,
After RTI released this study, an article in the Los Angeles Times stated that the D.A.R.E organization, quote, spent $41,000 to try to prevent widespread distribution
yep.
of the RTI report and started legal action aimed at squelching the study. The director of publication for the American Journal of Public Health told USA Today that, quote, D.A.R.E has tried to interfere with publication of this. They tried to intimidate us, end quote. So D.A.R.E got word of this RTI report and spent a bunch of money and tried to intimidate people into not pressing this information out there to the public.
Well, further than that, actually, studies have shown that not only doesn't have no effect on decreasing drug use, it actually increases drug use. Um, it's
Right. Yeah, I had read that just knowing that this stuff's out there, it makes kids curious and
right,
they want to try it.
exactly. I didn't get the guy's name, damn it, but one of the main psychologists in the study says that as they get older, students become very curious about these drugs that they've been learning about from police officers. So the government.
I have that here. It was a psychologist,
That's
Dr.
right.
William Colson, stated that D.A.R.E increased drug awareness so that, quote, as they got a little older, they, the students, become very curious about these drugs that they've learned about from
So
police
really,
officers.
D.A.R.E
End
should
quote.
be day. Like, get rid of the resistance. Just drug awareness education.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
That's funny.
that's a much more
Yeah.
accurate name, I guess.
But so the government stole money, this billions of dollars from people so that it could turn people, like knowingly turn people into drug users in order to incarcerate them. I mean, that's a whole school to prison
Yeah, I
pipeline
mean,
that, is a popular saying. It's clear that that's the intention.
mm-hmm. Did
Yeah.
you have D.A.R.E when you were in
No,
school?
no, no. We
You're
had
too
D.A.R.E.
old for that one.
I went through it.
Okay. What grade
I
did you
want to
have
say
D.A.R.E?
fourth and
Do
fifth
you
grade.
remember? Okay, I think that's what I was, either fourth or fifth or just fifth. But I guess they're doing it all the way up through high school now. with the younger kids.
Wow.
Like they started out in elementary school. That's where they had it when I was in school, when you were in school. But I guess they moved on to middle school and now up into high school as well.
Yeah. Oh, those same people also that sued and tried to intimidate journalists and studies and whatnot. Um, they were at the same time they were doing that. They told the press that the strong public support for D.A.R.E was a better indicator than any of the hard numbers, which kind of like the same as the climate change argument. That's what I equated it to.
So this clearly doesn't work, but people like it, so we're gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah, and there was strong like parents thought that they were helping kids, that they were keeping them off drugs and doing the job that they didn't want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. You're a parent. You would know better than I do, but like, I wouldn't assume if I had kids, like, I would want them doing shit when they're in school or whatever. Like, there are studies that show that you probably shouldn't smoke cannabis before like the age of
Yeah.
20, 30, something like. Your brain isn't developed until your late
Yes.
20s, early 30s. And there's studies that show that smoking cannabis prior to that age can have a significant effect on your brain as far as
Yes.
memory and everything goes. So
No.
should kids be smoking weed? Probably not. But they're not my fucking kids. So, do what you want.
So this is my theory or my philosophy as a parent. No. My kids need
Right. Yeah, and yours is going to hold more weight since you do.
my
have
kids need to
right?
get their studies done and strengthen their brain before they do stuff to start destroying it. However, when they are adults, post 21, that's the legal age. I have no problem with it. I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable smoking weed with my kids, and I don't think I ever will. But I definitely won't have a problem with it when they're adults. I think they know that I.
See, and there's still that stigma on it too. Like, you're the biggest stoner I know, and you don't want to smoke weed with your kids when they get to that age. But I guarantee that you would sit down and have a beer with them.
Right? That's so weird. Maybe that'll change later. I mean, I'm willing to evolve.
I bet if you were hanging out in the backyard around the grill or whatever, your kids are growing up. And
Oh, I
you
would definitely have it. Yeah.
Kids, but there's still that stigma against
Yeah.
with them.
Even though I'm a big old hypocrite with my kids.
And like I said, you're the biggest stoner I've ever met. Like, you fucking all day, every day. Like,
I am a stoner. That is true. So, another thing that those leaders.
I got a whole bunch of this proving that it doesn't work shit here too. 1998 research by Dr. Dennis Rosenbaum found that D.A.R.E graduates were more likely to use drugs, were more likely than others to drink, smoke tobacco, or use illegal drugs. 1998 again, there was a study funded by the National Institute of Justice that concluded the program was ineffective. In 2001, the Surgeon General of the United States, David Stacher, MD and PhD, placed the D.A.R.E program in the category of, quote, ineffective primary prevention program.
Wow.
That's the fucking Surgeon General of the United States saying that. In 2003, the U.S. General Accounting Office concluded that the program was actually counterproductive in some populations, with those who graduated from D.A.R.E later having higher than average rates of drug use.
What's higher than average?
2000.
What's that supposed to mean?
Anything more than average? I mean, I don't know what the average rate of drug use is, but apparently people who had gone through the D.A.R.E program.
So what I mean is, like, is like using it, does that increase the average, or is it the frequency of use?
The way I'm understanding it, I'm looking at it as a percentage. A higher percentage of people who have gone through the D.A.R.E program will use drugs than the percentage of people who had not gone through the D.A.R.E program.
So
that's how I understand
you're
it.
saying,
so hypothetically,
if you,
I don't know, 10% of people who go through D.A.R.E move on to use drugs later in life. If you hadn't gone through D.A.R.E, you might have had a 8% chance of.
So what I mean is, like, are you in that population if you've only used it once, or are you in that population if you're like me?
That I don't know. From what I had read, it hadn't specified if they were regular users or just
Hmm.
experimental users.
Well,
A 2006 10-year study was completed by Donald R. Lynam,
Linman?
Lynam, and his colleagues, involving 1,000 D.A.R.E graduates in an attempt to measure the effects of the program. After the 10-year period, no measurable effects were noted. So generally, all these studies are showing that it does nothing or it's
Well,
detrimental.
I have issue with the word detrimental.
At best, you're going to
It's
break
not
people's
detrimental.
sanity.
Weed is fine for adults.
No. I'm talking about the D.A.R.E
Yeah.
program. It either, if you go through the D.A.R.E program, all these studies are suggesting that it either comes out as a wash and it has no effect on you at all, or if you go through the program, you are more likely to use.
Thank God for D.A.R.E, I guess.
None of these studies that aren't from D.A.R.E themselves, police organizations, or anti-drug organizations, absolutely none of them show a positive effect from what I've seen.
Leaders do claim, though, that the program improved relationships between youth and police, if that helps. Which is not true, actually, because, like you said, it increases, and then those people get in trouble when then they're opposition to the cops.
Well, not only that, it encourages kids to snitch on their friends and family.
Yeah.
There are the 3 R's of D.A.R.E
Oh, I don't
recognize, resist,
remember.
report, and it basically just encourages kids to snitch. A lot of classrooms, I guess D.A.R.E officers are encouraged to put a box in their classrooms for anonymous tips. So basically, you're just taking these young, impressionable minds, telling that this stuff is bad, and the people who do it are bad, and having them turn in their neighbors, their parents, their family, whatever.
Yeah. I remember going home and being sure I was never going to touch a drug in my life. That didn't happen.
See, and even then, looking back, I don't think I liked cops even as I was a kid. Like, I think I've always had a problem with authority figures.
Yeah, me too. But also, growing up in the black community it's known that the cops are there to get you in trouble and not to help.
Exactly, right. And I grew up in a pretty white suburb, but like it seems like I've always had a job that was not in the best area. Like I've always had, like just
Yeah, Loveland is
I don't know how
awful.
to describe it.
I'm
Well,
just
not
fucking
so
with you.
much here, but
Yeah, no,
in
light
northern Ohio.
Ohio, God, it's
I mean, I don't know if there is a bad area in Colorado, at least that I've seen, like compared to what a bad
right.
area in Ohio is. Like people say Greeley's shitty, but I like you go to Greeley and it's not that shitty. It's just Mexican.
Yeah.
Like it's not bad.
Well, also
compared to
when you
parts of
talk about bad neighborhoods and when people talk, like I figured this out when I moved down to Cincinnati and I was with my ex-wife and her father was telling us about bad areas. So what he called bad areas was just areas that had black people walking around. Like it didn't matter if they actually had crime or not. It was just if there were black people there, it's a bad area.
Right. Yeah, if it's a black neighborhood, it's a bad area. Like there's parts of Akron that are like that too.
Yeah.
Like Akron's a weird place. Like one block will be white, and then like a block away, it's
black as hell.
And then there's a what the hell? The pocket of I don't know what they're called. People from Nepal. Nepalis?
The what?
I'm gonna call them Nepalis. Akron has a weird
the
pocket
what?
of Nepalis too.
Oh,
People from
like
Nepal.
the falls? Cuyahoga Falls?
No, Akron.
I have no idea what area you're talking about, but Akron in general. Yes.
Yeah. Akron has a weird little pocket of.
Oh, Nepal. Like, Nepal.
It seems like people just tend to congregate with similar people.
You know what?
Like the Nepalis stay with the Nepalis, the black people stay with the black people, the white people stay with the white people. Like we just self-segregate.
You know what's weird? Little side note. Loveland or not Loveland? Fort Collins has a crazy high number of Nepalese stores. You ever walk down Old Town?
I know there's a ton of Indians in Fort Collins. A lot of them because of the college, and there's a couple tech companies.
Well, and I used to work out there for a tech company
that are headquartered out of Fort Collins. But yeah, there's a Plum Street in Fort Collins. The entire street is like
Oh, I like Plum.
Indian
I
people.
remember Plum Street. That's a pretty street.
Like I used to do rental cars, and I'd look at driver's licenses all day. And it seems like 9 times out of 10, if it was an Indian person, the address on there was Plum Street for some reason. Like
That's
it's
interesting
just a
and
whole
creepy.
Indian neighborhood, I guess. Yeah. When you look at thousands of driver's
Yeah,
licenses, you
yeah,
tend to
yeah,
pick up
yeah.
on
No, no, I get it. I get it.
similarities like that.
But yeah, no, there's stores there. I mean, I like the stores, but there's like 15 fucking Nepalese stores, which is great. It's just they all have the same thing.
Huh. I have never paid attention to a Nepalese.
Oh, now that you know, like that's all you'll see.
There's a couple like decent looking Mexican markets up there, like where you can get legit Mexican food. But I've never paid any
Oh,
attention
I
to
don't mean
the
like
Nepal
it's
stores.
not like restaurants, although I think there probably is a restaurant or two. But I meant like just like the kitschy little tourist stores.
Okay. I was talking like Mexican
Oh
grocery
yeah, no,
stores.
that
Like you can go in and get
no, I
like
meant
legit
like
Mexican
gift shops and
groceries.
shit.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah,
Where the fuck were we?
well, and the last thing I have is the best thing that came out of the D.A.R.E program is we all got cool shirts because I mean, those are cool shirts. Honestly, the red spray painted up on black, that's badass looking.
Their shirts.
Can you
That's
can
the
you
best
think of a
way to come
better
up.
thing? I can't.
Um, the one thing I remember from when I was in D.A.R.E when like fourth, fifth grade, they always have D.A.R.E cars, right? It's drug dealer cars that they take
Yeah,
and
yeah.
paint up for all D.A.R.E shit, right? Our D.A.R.E car was a Tri-5 Chevy. That's 55, 56,
Wow.
57 Chevy. I don't remember what exactly it was. But it's a Tri-5 Chevy done up like a gasser. So the front end was all up with a straight axle underneath of it and everything, like an old school drag racer. That's what we had for a drag car. I want to know what the fuck drug dealer was out there running around in a Tri-5 Chevy, all fucking hot rodded up, and got busted. Like, don't you want to go a little like under
Ghetto
the
rich,
radar when you're
dude.
doing that kind
Nah,
of shit?
nah. You want everybody to know.
I have a buddy back in Ohio who has been imprisoned multiple times for drug and violence related things. And for a while, he had a basement
Yeah.
grow operation going on. And this was right when the Dodge Chargers came back out. So this is like 06 ish, give or
I
take.
think
I don't know when the hell those came out. And he had the stereotypical drug dealer car, blacked out, 5% all the way around, 24-inch rims, fucking subs and everything. And I'm like, dude, like, fucking people know how you got this. Like,
yes.
what the fuck are you doing?
I just want to say, and I'm not.
He got busted. The car got impounded. He went to prison for another couple years or whatever. Like I'm not fucking.
What you
fly under
want
the
as a
radar,
drug
dude.
dealer, like in, the perfect car for a drug dealer would be a champagne-colored Geo Metro.
Something like a fucking Subaru Outback or something. Like something
Driving a
that
Subaru
nobody
Outback
pays
now,
attention
it's great.
to.
I love it.
That Outback that you had, the
Oh, it
old
was so
white
good.
people gold Outback.
I've never
Like a
felt safer in a car.
champagne Outback. Yeah.
Nobody looked at me.
I mean,
It really
that
is.
is the perfect under the radar thing. You see a champagne Outback, and you just assume it's 50,
Yep.
60-year-old
Yep.
white people driving.
Even if you see me in there, and I do not look like a 50 or 60-year-old white person, like at all. Even if you see me in
No, you
there,
don't.
your brain still does that thing where it replaces a 50 or 60-year-old white person, and that's what you see when you see me driving past.
Yeah, it automatically just de-escalates everything whenever you see a
Yeah.
champagne-colored
That's-
Outback.
I want to get another one of those.
That goes into what we were talking about a week
Yeah,
ago. The
I haven't
whole
looked into that
gray
yet.
man theory. Like, just blend in.
No need to be ostentatious. Cough, cough.
Yeah, I'm really hoping my roommate didn't get me sick.
So anyway, I mean, I ended on a light note. Yay, D.A.R.E shirts.
Yay, D.A.R.E shirts. Okay. I want to get in some statistics on
Bring it.
prison
I want to know.
population since all this shit popped off too. Where is that in my notes? 2008 study published by Harvard economist Jeffrey A. Miron, stated the annual savings on enforcement and incarceration costs from the legalization of drugs would amount to roughly $41.3 billion, 25.7 of which going to the states, 15.6 of which going to the federal government. Murin further estimated at least $46.7 billion in tax revenue based on rates comparable to tax rates on tobacco and alcohol. 8.7 billion of that would come from marijuana alone. 32.6 billion of that from cocaine, heroin, and the other remaining drugs. In 2016, in the U.S., there were 655 people incarcerated per 100,000 people in the population. Blacks make up about 13% of the U.S. population, but they make up about 40% of the prison population in the U.S. Over 2,300 people per 100,000 black people have been incarcerated at some point in their life. By comparison, that number drops to about 830 per 100,000 for Hispanics, who make up about 19% of the population, and 450 per 100,000 for whites, who make up about 39% of the U.S. population. These numbers are accurate as of 2010. That's the most recent stuff I could find. As of 2016, 655 per 100,000 Americans were in prison. That is the highest per capita rate in the world.
Like, by a lot.
The land of the free. Yeah, that's more than fucking Soviet Russia or whatever. Like, we have the highest prison population per capita in
Partially
the world.
it's because it's structured. Yeah.
But America's
partially because it's structured so that it's revenue generating.
Well, yeah, they're prisons for profit, basically, is what the problem is. Cops have a quota to fill. Judges have a quota to fill. Like, it's a machine.
Well, and urges to satisfy.
Make money off of them. There's let me see if I can find it here real quick. Is it the 18th Amendment? Is that the one that freed the
13th.
slaves? 13th. I think.
Yeah.
13th? Okay. Let me see. Yeah, 13th. You're right. 13th Amendment abolished slavery. I forget where exactly. It's worded somehow in here that when they quote-unquote outlawed slavery, there's a loophole in there that allows prisoners to basically be used for free labor. So the whole prison industrial complex can be, and a lot of times is, just a way to get free labor. It's basically state-run slavery.
Yep. I think there's a couple of states that have negated that particular clause, though. I think like California, New York.
Have they? Okay.
You know, some of the more Massachusetts, Connecticut, you know, some of the more progressive states. Well, quote unquote progressive states. They still aren't progressive on marijuana. Have I said that yet?
Right. Yeah, I don't see the actual wording I was looking for here. But yeah, there's some kind of a loophole in the 13th Amendment that allows prisoners to be used basically as slave labor to circumvent that whole we outlawed slavery thing.
Now, I don't, just to be clear about slave labor, I don't think that you're allowed to force labor, but you're allowed, they allow the prisoners to choose to work because, you know, who wants to be cooped up in a cell all day, and they don't get paid. So that's where the slave labor part happens. Not that they're like beaten if they don't work, although I'm sure that happens too.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if they still do it, but like back in, I don't know, the mid 20th century, like the southern states, like your Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, all those, were basically just using chain gangs to do whatever the fuck they needed done. Like, I think they were using prisoners as part of the Hurricane.
I think so, yeah.
Katrina cleanup too, weren't they?
Yeah.
It seems like I remember.
And they praised them for it. They were proud of it. Both prisoners and like news outlets and stuff. I remember that. But still, it was just free labor.
Yeah, basically, like, this whole war on drugs is just a way to get people into...
It seems to be abating, but maybe it's not. I hope it is. I vote for the person who legalizes drugs.
Okay, you can vote if you want to. It doesn't do anything, but...
I'm not an anarchist.
It makes you feel better.
I still believe in democracy.
How
Yeah,
did
see,
we
that's
get
a
to place where we
problem.
are now? By people voting.
Well, so okay, the thing is though, regarding that, there was a change in demographics in 18, so there's voting clearly helps. I mean, the power did shift.
The best thing to come from the last election was Ron Paul getting an electoral college vote. Like, he didn't even fucking
Yeah,
run,
well,
and he got a vote.
I'm still not a fan of his.
Yeah. Yeah. Ron Paul didn't run. Got more votes than Bernie.
Yeah. Well,
I love it. Ron Paul for president. I don't care how old he is. I don't care that he's retired for several years now. Ron Paul for president.
I'd like to see him in a debate. I don't know.
I would register to vote if Ron Paul.
I say everybody votes. Everybody vote. That's Darby's stance.
Nah, people are too dumb. And if people are too dumb to run their own lives, what makes you think that they're smart enough to choose other people to run
somebody's gonna do it
lives for them?
Yeah, that's not gonna happen ever.
Yeah, do it
ever.
yourself.
That's not human
Not
nature.
with that kind of attitude, God damn it.
People want to be led, and people will kill to lead. So it's the worst. The person that's willing to do the worst things that will lead always. That's
So
not.
Let people lead at all. 7 billion people get along with each other perfectly peacefully.
Entirely accurate.
It's a small minority of people that want to do terrible things.
Yeah, but there's a power vacuum if there was nobody leading and somebody would fill it. Because that small population. That small population are the ones that are in charge, and they will kill to stay in charge, and those other peaceful people won't kill to defend.
No, there are definitely people that would, I think, but I think the people who would kill to defend outnumber the people that aren't our order followers.
I don't think so.
Harm. Like,
I think most people don't want to kill.
We're wildly off topic again.
It is. We don't need to do that. We'll do that later. Anyway, so that's been D.A.R.E. Fuck D.A.R.E. Fuck the Reagans. Fuck the war on drugs.
Yeah, I think that covers about everything.
Yeah.
You're good on your.
If you want to hear about D.A.R.E., or at least our take on it, where would you?
You can
HigherMindsPodcast.com.
HigherMindsPodcast.com.
We're on Facebook.
Facebook.
And on Twitter.
Twitter.
Yep, there's Instagram. Yep, we got a lot of. Actually, let's pause there for a second. We've got like 20-some like regular listeners now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So now we can stop laughing at ourselves for, we can start for having 20 now.
Yeah, I mean, we love you and thank you for listening, but maybe it's a good decision to listen to us. Maybe. I mean.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us through the last couple episodes. Those have sounded fucking terrible. And I'll remind you that Papa Darby has stuck his name on it. This one will sound perfect. So, if you're listening to this and you're like, this sounds like shit again, just know that the next episode, Papa Darby will have a new name.
Yeah. Oh, also, I haven't been keeping up on the YouTube uploads, so you guys listening, I'm going to. Yeah.
Yeah, I just.
And we're way low on those, so I'll be uploading like the last 7 episodes at once for your listening pleasure. I'm guessing.
That many? Okay, I knew we were behind on them. I hadn't checked.
I'm guessing it is
on the upload end of things, so I just happened to look at it.
What episode are we on?
Shit, he kind of forgot about this.
No, like in general, how many episodes is this?
Is this 21? This is 21.
Wow.
22.
Good job, Scott. Right there. You're doing great.
Black Tom was 21.
Oh, wow, okay.
22.
Nice. Yeah, and we're technically
we're one less because we split Walt Disney into 2 because we went longer than we had intended to.
Wait, aren't
Walt
those aren't
Disney's
there a couple of
episodes
announcements
19
too?
and 20 instead of just 19. Yeah, there's a few announcements too. I don't count those when I
Oh, okay.
count episodes though.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will be our
And
20
speaking of announcements, we Scott and I are going to have a couple of announcements coming up within this week. Some projects that we've got in development, and I'm super excited. Scott doesn't really get excited. Yeah.
We're diversifying a little.
More and more content.
Do you want to go ahead and say what we have planned?
Well, okay. So the one thing I will mention is, again, we're doing the new Tool album review. The new Tool album's name is Fear Inoculum, which suggests that it will cause you to be brave, I guess, or not scared. But yeah,
See, I've never been a huge Tool fan. I like their radio play stuff, but I've never invested any time in actually sitting down. So this might be interesting. I'm either gonna really like Tool or I'm gonna hate Tool by the end.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not. I mean, they're industrial-ish. They have some industrial, but they're not exactly what you like.
Right. No. I listen to a little bit of everything. I got fucking anything from Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I'm
but they've got two songs on YouTube right now called "Invincible" and "Descending" from that album, and I can't get enough of either one of them. So this is going to be good for me.
I'll check those out as soon as we get wrapped up.
Yeah, they're concert
I didn't know they had
recordings.
Scold put out a new video.
What?
I sent you a link to that one, I think.
Oh, Scold. Yes, I did.
Scold,
I thought you said Tool did. Yeah, no, that's a cool fucking. Oh, you know what? Did we post that? Because for our Disney episode.
Did I post?
Because it's Disney themed, and our last episode was Disney.
Yeah. The song is Small World.
Did we post it on our social media? We should.
I can. Yeah. I'm always down to spread the word of Scold. He is criminally underrated.
I did like that song and I like that video. But anyway, so continuing, highermindspodcast@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. Please email us. Tell us what you think. We're on Stitcher.
Yeah.
And I think we've named everything.
I want to get into a little more film type shit. As listeners might know, I have a decent movie collection. 2 fucking bookshelves full of shit. So I want to get into stoner movie commentary, I think. Because I sit and watch movies in the evening anyways, and I talk shit about it anyways. I might as well fucking record myself doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So, if any listeners have suggestions for movies I should check out, go ahead and email us at highermindspodcast@gmail. And if I have it in my collection or if I can find it to stream, I might just do a commentary on it.
That sounds splendid.
Yeah.
So anyway, this has been the Higher Minds Podcast. I'm Papa Darby.
I'm Scott.
Deuces.
Deuces, everybody.